Hello, and welcome to the show today. So I almost forgot it was Tuesday. Here I am. I almost forgot it was Tuesday. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh, shoot, I gotta make something. Which is why we're making something that I wasn't expecting. Because I had to throw it together sort of last moment. I found some trout. Found some trout on discount. Not a huge discount, but it's on discount. It is use it or lose it today. It's a little bit less than a pound. We're going to use it. I don't have a recipe for this, but I'm going to attempt to make it into a dumpling filling, stuff it inside of wonton wrappers, and fry it up. Usually I think of this with pork, and the one time I made shrimp ones, I crossed them with pork because it needs something fatty to kind of help pull the fillings together. I'm hoping that trout will be a fatty enough fish that we won't have to add anything to it. We can make it pure fish. Well, not pure fish because there's a bunch of other stuff that goes in there as well. The wonton wrappers were frozen, so they're currently in the sink, bathing in some water, and I will leave them there up until I absolutely need them. Which is fine because I got a few other things that have to be done. Selena, hi, welcome in. You are officially first. And for me, first, we have to work with these things. I don't want the skins in there, so we're going to attempt to get these fillets off of their skins. Not pretzels. I didn't change the title until after I hit go live. So it should say the right title now, but I will have to manually change the title on the VOD. And I'm sure that my go live notification that went out to everybody also said pretzels. It's not pretzels. I forgot to change the title. We need our sharp knife. No, I could make more pretzels. The pretzels were actually pretty fun and delicious. They were polished off. The issue is I got a lot of that cheese left because we made way too much cheese and I still have quite a bit of it. The knife here needs to be as sharp as we can get it. Nice sharp knife, because getting the skins off of an uncooked fillet of fish is difficult. I actually considered just trying to quickly sear these on the skin side just to try to get it to release, but I'm going to attempt to cut it away with the knife. So how's your day going? I had a very forgetful day. I was doing laundry today, and I was 25 cents short, and the only bills I had in my wallet was a 20. So now I've got $19.75 worth of quarters. Loose quarters. That's fun. That's ugh. Anyways, this stuff. It feels a little of a shame to do this with these nice pieces, but oh, there's a bunch of what the heck? A bunch of stuff stuck to the bottom of my the tray here. Okay, we've got our filet o trout. Now the issue I think I'm going to have is, unlike the piece of salmon, these are much thinner. The fish here is a much narrower critter. So getting these off of their skins is going to be a bit of a trick. Fortunately, I don't need them to be in super good condition since I'm going to mince them up anyways. I just want to get the skins away. Saizan, hello! Welcome, welcome. Let me see if I can get a bowl out without touching every bowl with my fish fingers. Okay. Oh, and Saizan wants a moisten. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Get the fish off my hand real quick. Should wash my hands before I handle the fish anyways, so good shout. Oh. Moist. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? How's things? Let's see. I don't need to keep this stuff very intact because I'm going to mince them up anyways. So let's take advantage of this split line that they already have to make these a little bit smaller and thus hopefully easier to skin. It'll also help with the shape so that they're a little bit more flat, even. Okay. This is not the knife for this. Should have gotten a shorter knife for the splitting the length like this. But I didn't want to get a second knife dirty. And now I'm paying for it because this knife has a little bit too much wiggle to it, which is great for getting in between the skin and the flesh, but there you go. Not so great for applying cutting pressure. Okay. So I think we'll be able to run the blade underneath the flesh and on top of the skin. Mostly effectively. Oop. Or we'll just cut the skin. The skin is really thin on these things. I wonder if I can pull it away. Well, this is going to be our first adventure of the day, trying to get the skin off of these guys without taking a bunch of the flesh with it. This works. Do it the same way you would peel like a membrane off of a steak. It's going to be a little bit rough. But again, that's fine. I'm going to mince it up anyways. It can, the fish can end up ugly. Work out what to do with the skins. Can think of what to do with the skins after I've got them off. See what shape they're in. The They're not scrap. They're not garbage. They just don't want to be in the minced part. We might be able to even fry them separately into little crispies. Oop. Okay. Yeah, I knew the skinny little tail end was going to be the hardest bit to get between. Okay. Almost got it, but then it started tearing. Okay. So, what's new in the land of chat? Do anything fun for the weekend? Have anything fun planned today? Have anything crappy planned today that you want to vent about? I'm all ears. Well, I'm all eyes because I'll be reading it. I'll be reading it on the screen. Okay. It's not the greatest looking thing in the world, but again, it's never meant to be. It was never meant to be. That guy in there. We're going to try one of these skinny ones because I feel like I should be able to just get in between there. And just run the length of it. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. There. Haha. That is what I wanted to see. Do that again. Do that again. Get in between there, get it started, and then it should, just like that one, pull away. How'd that... Okay. I think it's the belly flap there that is too flimsy to pull, and that's where it tears. Let's see if we can't get at least most of this now that I've figured out how to... Yeah, see, it's tearing at the belly piece. It's okay, we can get that back off of there. A spoonbill. Damn. That's... Damn. Oh, he's lost. The heck is a spoonbill doing in the north? Damn, that is exciting. Also, welcome in. You're just in time for me to do this. Okay, that first one was a little bit of a mess, but I got a method. I figured out how to get the skin to pull, so we could speed through that bit. There's a fruit fly. There, go away, fruit fly. This isn't even fruit. What are you on about? Okay, okay. Wash my hands a little bit because the skin needs to get off of the board there, so we can go and do some mincing. Okay. Save the skins. We're going to clear the board a little bit because there are some scales on it, and I don't want scales in my finished product. But it doesn't need a wash because we're just going to put more fish on it. Just don't want the scales. Okay. Get this back out. I actually don't need the fillet knife now either. I need a big knife because we're going for some mincing. Not that I need a big knife to actually like get through this nice soft fish. It's just that the bigger knife is much easier to handle with this sort of quick motion. Doing this with a small knife or the fillet knife would be just a nightmare. Ooh, there are some little tiny bones in this one. Hopefully they get minced to pulp because I don't think I'll be able to get them out of there. So I'm not planning on pre-cooking this because we're going to throw it into a dumpling and then fry it. And there should be more than enough heat to cook this through. And if I pre-cooked them, they would dry out something fierce. So, raw spear. Welcome in. Hello. Happy lurking. I would say, how's your day? But you're on lurk, so. A little bit of skin there. Go in the skin bowl. Long. Ooh. That good, huh? Okay, now we're going to kind of turn these sideways and give them another quick mince because we want little mixable bits instead of slices. If I was making a burger, a fish burger, this would be the same first step. I wouldn't necessarily put fish through a grinder. I would prefer to mince it with a knife because I think it would become too much of a paste. It doesn't have the integrity of like beef or pork. where in order to get those into a shapeable thing, you would need to run them through a mechanical grinder. Although you don't have to. You can hand mince those into burgers as well. We should do that someday. Yeah. Okay. Fish is looking pretty chopped. All right, I feel less chatty today, and I'm not sure why. Because I don't feel any different, just less chatty. We're gonna get quite a few out of this, I think. Let's give it one more. Some of these bits are just a little bit bigger than I was aiming for. Okay. I love the color. I love the color. This is such a nice, it was very eye-catching. This was, of course, more discount stuff because I can't help myself, but this was very eye-catching in the discount rack. In the bargain bunker. In the other name for cheap meat. Need to get it off of there, back into its bowl before I completely wash my hands. Well, I hope to be at least reasonably chill and moderately entertaining for your relaxation after your long day. I know it's a big ask for me to cross the line into moderately entertaining, but I'll give it a go. Okay, that's the meat board done. Our remaining ingredients are all vegetative. We'll have to work out what to do with the excess skin. If you've got any ideas for what to do with a bunch of weird, irregular fish skin scraps, I am all eyes. Let's see, we need a few scallions. This knife also needs a quick well, putting it in the garden, that would be the fallback. If we can't work on anything to do with it, I would just chuck it into compost. But I meant like uses for it. Okay, I want these quite thinly sliced. I lost one. I lost one on the floor. One little circle got away. I just saw the thing change color, which means we have an ad coming up in a couple minutes. Okay. 3 scallions. Before I dump more stuff in here, I can already tell that I need a substantially larger bowl for mixing these. So let's do that before I go any further. They looked smaller when they were not minced up. Okay, that's plenty. And this is going to be the main vegetable element of the interior of our dumplings, as well as a major flavor component. But it is not the only one by far, because we're adding garlic and ginger, which I should press and grate post haste to let it really develop its flavors. Down to the middle of one of these garlics again, where the okay, well, I'm going to, since no one seems to have any ideas, we're just going to call that scrap and throw scrap in there, and then it can all go in the compost, which is fine. Fish skin is tricky to use, especially when it's kind of irregular bits like that. If it had come off in nice, perfect sheets, which it almost did, but not quite, we would have just fried it up and made chips out of it. Okay. I got the tube out. I literally got the tube out to do this with, and then I started peeling the first one by hand. Like an idiot. There. Let's do it that way. Use the tube. Go back a second ago when I wasn't talking, and instead of not talking and struggling with your cloves of garlic, use your handy garlic peeling tube. You'd be done by now. If you just did it that way. If you just did it right. If you just did it right for once, it'd be great. Why can't you ever do it right? That's probably enough garlics. We'll save the other ones. And we will grate them into a bowl so I can let them kind of develop their flavor in the way we always do. I've said it many times. Oh, the ad break is on right now. I'll say it when the ad break is over. So glad that Twitch is actually telling us when the ad breaks are, just in the chat window now. Not for the viewers, but for me, so I don't have to have the separate thing open all the time just to see when they're blocking me for an ad. Oop. 1, 0. Ad break over. So as I was saying, just when the ad started, I've said it many times before, and I will say it again. Prep your garlic well in advance of when you want to use it. At least 10 minutes before it goes on the heat, which in this case is a lot more than what we're expecting, but at least 10 minutes. It can be more than 10 minutes. The garlic will develop its flavor as it sits around, and the fun garlic chemistry happens. Need my little scraper. Little scraper. Okay, there's our garlic. We're going to also do some ginger. I'm tempted to just grab that knob, that little knob there, and just grate the whole thing instead of going for one of these larger ones. Since I'm not going to skin it, I am going to do that because that's probably plenty of ginger if we don't lose any to the peeling. Probably. And we can grate that little sprout that's trying to come off the end there as well. Teach this ginger who's boss. You can't sprout. You get to live in a dark drawer until I eat you. The smell of fresh ginger. This is one of those things where I would love to be able to share the smell of fresh ginger. Is so nice. Oop. This guy's a little bit tricky to grate because it's a small little knob, but okay. Okay. Scrape it off. I know a lot of people want to peel the skins. I don't care about peeling the skins for almost every application. There's probably a few where I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll take the skin off for this one, but most of the time, I think just leave the skin on. You lose more ginger from having to cut away the skins than I think is worth the trouble, personally. Sure, it leaves little brown bits in your finished ginger, but these are going to go inside a thing where you can't even see them anyways. So the little brown bits are no bother. Let's see. We have garlic, ginger, fish, scallions. What else goes in a dumpling? I'm just kind of winging it. Let's zest a lime. Throw some lime zest in there. Probably not the whole lime, probably half the lime. Because I think citrus goes really well with fish. Although I don't want this to be really sour. We can put sourness in the sauce, in the dipping sauce, rather than in the dumpling. Didn't quite stay as perfectly contained that time. I think the lime is a little bit older, and thus the zest is a little bit less firm. Magra D, hi. Frozen minced ginger in 1 teaspoon groupings. Wow. That seems handy. Ginger is one of those things where having it pre-minced and like packaged isn't nearly as bad as like garlic. That pre-minced garlic stuff isn't good because garlic loses a lot of its flavor after you've crushed it up. Ginger holds much better. I've thought about just picking up like minced ginger. I've seen it in like a squeeze tube even. I've never picked it up, but I've thought about that because it seems like the kind of thing where it actually would be worthwhile. We're going to add a little bit of powdered ginger. Actually, speaking of preserved ginger, we're going to add a little bit of powdered ginger because it gives us a slightly different flavor. Oh, what goes in fish dumpling? I don't have a recipe pulled up, so I have just been winging it thus far. Let me grab a quick, like, what else goes in a fish dumpling? Fish, scallions. Lots of random text. What did I put in there? Some salt, of course. Soy sauce, sweet wine, ginger scallions. That one didn't put any garlic in. Pepper. We can do pepper. I'm obviously already committed to some lime zest. Pepper. Let's try to get the pepper really fine, though, by tightening up our grinder here. So how's your day going, Mag? We're going to, I've got some mirin. We will only need a little bit of that. Mags. Okay. Can do. Some soy sauce for salt and savoriness. This one wants some oils in there as well, although it's using a white fish. We're using a trout, which is naturally a much oilier fish, so I'm not going to add a bunch of extra just random oil to fatten up our thing, because we shouldn't need it. But I will add some sesame oil for flavor. I wish all of my various liquids came in this type of container. This is an aluminum can with a little plastic thingy on the top. Super recyclable compared to all of the plastic containers. Oh, well, I'm always glad to have you. I know a lot of people are a little fussy about things. I'm in the opposite camp. As a kid, I was much more fussy, but I'm at this point in my life, I'm in the opposite camp. I'll eat virtually anything, and I will try actually anything. So that's why I'm having such fun throwing ideas at the wall all the time. Let's get our ginger and garlic and lime zest in there. We're going to have to get in there with our fingies and mush this into a mush. A mush! So what are your feelings on this, then? Now we have a mush. On Saturday, we made pretzels. I don't know anyone who wouldn't eat pretzels, unless they're gluten problems. What we have here is minced trout with scallions, garlic, ginger, and all those spices I just threw in here. And where the plan is to make dumplings with this as the filling and then fry them. So the bulk of this is steelhead trout that I found on discount. And wanted to give a attempt to. Speaking of frying, we should probably get the oil going, and that can be heating up while I am filling and folding dumplings. At the moment, this is raw, but it's going to be fried, and at the moment it's raw, but since we're frying it, it'll be all cooked through by the time we get to it. Let's see, which frying vessel do I want? We're going to go with the large cast iron. We're going to go with the large cast iron and do a sort of a shallow instead of a deep. Although we're going to need quite a bit of oil if we do the large one. So that's fine. I've still got my big old jug of fry oil here. It's got a little bit of sediment in it. We might be reaching the end of its lifespan, actually. Oop, don't glug, please. We want this guy to be about halfway up with oil. You can filter and reuse fry oil several times, but not infinitely, and it starts to lose its color and lose its it develops an off scent. Let's see if I can get this where you guys can look at the temperature. Can you see? No, you cannot see that. There, okay. Fry oil. Okay, that's just going to sort of slowly come up on us. While I prepare the actual dumplings. I'm not sure what shape I want these to be. I've got the square wrappers this time, so we won't be doing the little fancy folds. We could do the 4-point like Rangoon fold. Or I was thinking triangles, so they would lay flat, more like a ravioli. Let me get the wrappers out. We can do a little bit of experimentation. I hope they're thawed. They were frozen when they were frozen at 4 o'clock, just before I was going to start. But they thaw pretty easily in general, and I've had them in water since then. You don't need to watch that part real close. So we'll come back over here. We need to open these. And we're not, last time we made dumplings, I was trying to do some fun color things, and I think if I want to do that in the future, I have to make my own wrappers. I can't use these pre-made thingies. The pre-made thingies are just so convenient. But we gotta dry off the surface here, so otherwise they will stick on here. I think they're separated from each other. So I was thinking, take a square, and like the traditional one that you think of for like a Rangoon is where you take the 4 corners and you pinch them together and you get this little like flower shape. And I was just going to go for a like ravioli triangle. We're going to make a ton of these things though. I've got a tray. I've got the tray here, which is going to need something. I didn't pick up any parchment paper, but the tray in this case does not need to be. I'm still out of parchment paper, but we don't need parchment for this because this is not going to be baked. So I can just use plain old wax paper. Don't mistake wax paper for parchment paper. Wax paper will melt and burn in the oven. Parchment paper will not. That's a lot of the difference between them. Little spoon and a little dish of plain water. To use as our sealer. And let's see what happens. Take a little blob of the stuff right in the middle. That might be too much of a blob of the stuff. Take a little bit less of a blob of the stuff right in the middle. And then if I just do the corners, or do the middles, I can kind of pull them together and then pinch it out. Maybe. It's a little bit tall. You can't quite see from the top, but it's a little bit tall doing it that way. And we might not have a deep enough fry for them. Unless I, like... I'm also worried that that middle bit right in the center is going to fill with oil. Little windmills. This one might be a write-off. If I do a square one, or a triangle one, where we just kind of fold it like so. Yeah. What do you think? Simple little triangles, or do we try something fancy? I'm leaning towards triangles just because I think we're going to have quite a lot of these to go through, and they will be easier to do in large numbers. So, I've decided, despite the fact that I just asked you what your opinion was, I've decided we're going to do triangles. We're going to have one weird one from the experimental start one there. The rest are going to be triangles. We also only need to wet 2 of the sides. We don't need to wet all 4 sides. You can wet all 4 sides, but you don't need to wet all 4 sides. Okay. I'm going to be a little bit quiet while I'm concentrating, but I don't need to concentrate super hard, so I guess as I get more comfortable, I will increase the chatter. So, what plans do you, the chatter who is reading or listening to me now, what do you have for today's dinner plans? I like hearing about other people cooking almost as much as I like doing it myself. No idea? Well, that's not good. If you have no idea, it could be anything. It could even be a boat. No cooking too hot. Hey, I'm hot too, but I'm deep frying today. That's a terrible idea. It's not actually in the 90s today. My car said 93, but that was after being out in the sun for a while. But we're in the mid to upper 80s today. And I've decided, I've chosen to deep fry. Well, shallow fry. $103 feels like $108. Oh my God! You should have something cold. Ice cream salad. Jeez, that's hot. That's too hot. I agree. That's too hot. That's too hot for activities. Yow. Yow. Well, I hope it cools off soon. I think if it was that hot where I am, I would just roll over and die. Been hot for 2 weeks. Jeez. Well, well, I don't think I'll be moving to Texas anytime soon, because I think I would just give up. If it was that hot, I would just give up. You're like, nope, nope, you win. Climate defeats me. I should be wetting the bottom, I think, so that I fold the dry part onto it instead of folding the wet part, because then the wet part's sticky. I got to make sure that as I'm doing this, I squeeze the air out, because since we're doing a deep fry, when I was doing these last time and I steamed them, you can afford to have a little bit of space in there. Since this time we're going to go for a fry, if there's an air pocket, which we actually have in this one, inside the thingy, or there's an opening on the end, which we have a big one on this guy. Come on, come on, come on. If you have an opening on the end, the oil will flow inside and the stuff will flow outside. But if you have an air pocket, they are likely to burst as that air pocket suddenly expands. How's our temperature going? Oh, we got years of temperature left. The oil isn't even as hot as Meg's weather right now. We could have skipped ahead if only I'd taken the oil outside in Texas. Could have skipped the past couple of minutes of heating up. Okay. Gotta make sure not to overfill these. I'm getting aggressive with the stuffing. They look very good on the tray here. I'll show you. They look very good lining up on the tray like this. The last time I made dumplings, I devoured them with reckless abandon and then had to stop myself to avoid eating way too many. I absolutely love these Chinese-style dumplings, although I've never had them with this manner of filling before. That is too much filling. Speaking of filling, that is too much filling. I've never done this specific thing before, so I cannot speak to loving this yet. Yeah, we briefly got a taste of the heat wave up here in the north, but it did not stick around, and I'm thankful for it because it was unbearably hot. There's the ad. Probably cut me off right as I was saying a thing. Got to remember not to start talking just before an ad starts. Oop. Squeezed out a little nugget on the end of that guy. The timers. Twitch's two different timers on the ad roll here are out of sync. That's comforting. Welcome back from the ad. As I was saying just before it started, just as it started, we got a very brief taste of the crazy heat wave up here in the north last week, but it did, thankfully for us, not stick around. We only had it for a couple of days. But they were a terrible couple of days. I did not enjoy that at all. I do not like the heat. Someday we're going to have to make our own dumpling wrappers, and that's going to be an adventure. That's going to be another whole adventure, because these pre-made ones are so perfect and convenient. Ugh. Oh, sorry. I keep catching myself just stopping talking, which is not ideal for what is ostensibly an entertainment program. Because you're not really learning anything from watching me fold wontons. Except how bad I am at folding wontons. Ugh, so bad. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're more than halfway through. I think we're probably a good 2/3 of the way through the filling. It's hard to see from the top because I'm scooping it out, but we're getting through the filling pretty well here. It smells very good. Even uncooked, it smells very good. How's our heat going? We've got a ways to go, but we are getting there. Can't ignore that, or I could scorch my oil, which we've done before as well. Fortunately, this project is not going to contribute any additional sediment, or it shouldn't unless something goes terribly wrong, sediment to our oil, so it should be very easy to filter and save it. So I would really rather not scorch the oil, because we can probably get one more good use out of it. Deep frying is one of those things that is usually best left to the professionals. It's hot, it's messy, and it's best done in large volumes rather than a bit at a time, the way you are pretty much required to do it if you do it at home. But it's tasty, and you can do things with the method that are very difficult to achieve without deep frying. I know air fryers claim to be deep fryers without the oil, but that is a lie. They are not. You could not make these the way we're making them in the old air fry machine. I do like the air fryer. My Magic Pot, which we showed off previously, the new Magic Pot. The one I've got has an air fry mode built into it. And it's really effective, and I really, really like it. I used it to make a mini pizza out of one of those pitas from the other day. Although it's a little awkward because it kicks on the fan and it blew the cheese around. So there was a little bit of a cheese escape. I wish it had a window in there. I wish any of my hot boxes had windows for observing the cooking going on inside. My oven doesn't even have a window because it's a million years old. All right, I keep moving where I'm doing this because I'm leaving little smudges of water, and I don't want to put the new fresh one right on top of the water. So I should be just wiping it off like that. But I've been doing it the dumb way. Get to the middle. So I don't believe that there is a tradition of deep frying this type of dumpling in the way I'm planning to do it. I'm not saying it's never been done, but it's definitely not what I believe the Chinese tradition would say you should do here. I think it would probably recommend that these be steamed, much like we did last time. And I considered that, but while I was out shopping, I completely forgot to pick up parchment. And steaming these without parchment is asking for them to glue onto the surface of whatever you're cooking them on and tear into bits. So I didn't. So I decided not to do that. So we're not doing that. We didn't do that. Pot stickers are not typically deep fried. They are typically pan fried. They're steam fried. So they're put in a pan. There are deep fried. This is what the all right. I just started two different thoughts, and I should finish the first one. Pot stickers are crispy on the bottom because they're steamed in a pan directly on the metal on the bottom, where they stick a little bit. Pot stickers. So they're crispy on the bottom, but the top part is steamed because they are not immersed in the oil. They're put in there with a bit of water that boils away and steams the tops. So they got that chewy steamed texture on the top and then a crispy bottom. And it's a really nice combo, which makes them very popular. The fried version of what I'm making here is probably most familiar to Americans as the rangoons, like a crab rangoon. Those are usually deep fried and filled with a crab cream cheese mixture. Or often a just cream cheese mixture, and then the menu says crab rangoon, but they didn't actually put any crab in it, and it's just a fried dough with the cream cheese in the middle, which is tasty, but okay. Now see, like I was saying, there's a little puddle in the middle. We are just about done with the fillings, so probably get 3 out of this, maybe 4 if I don't overfill them. We're going to go this way. So yeah, this is definitely a me going for an experiment thing. I'm also hoping that they don't explode. They're going to have to sit and rest a bit to let that seam seal. Because we need the seam to be really firm. On them. I might actually even go in with a fork and like crimp the edge, because I am a little worried about exploding. Pasta is usually steamed then fried. Perhaps, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The way I've done it, which was not from scratch, was to put them in a pan with the flat side just on the bare metal. With a little bit of water. The water steams them up, but then the water boils away, and then the bottoms crisp against the pan. But again, I did not make them from scratch. I was following directions on a packaged version for that. So I don't know the actual real way of like properly doing it. Okay, this is going to be our last one. And it does not appear to be either overfilled or underfilled. We nailed it. We landed pretty accurately. The last one here. When making dumplings, it is generally, I would say, better to err on the side of underfilling than overfilling, although it is extremely tempting to overfill them. Because it makes them easier to seal up. And getting them sealed in is a big part of making sure that they cook properly and don't make a mess. Which I suspect that we are going to do, which is make a mess. How's that oil looking? Can anybody tell? Probably too small. How is that oil looking? The oil is at, oh, the oil's at 350. The oil's at fry temp. Perfect. We will kick it up just a tiny, tiny bit because I'm about to make it cooler by putting the stuff in. Let me show off my finished sheet of these things first. Here we are. Here they are. Get rid of the board here. There they are. We got one weird one because I tried a square fold first. I will fry that one, but I think it's going to be a weird one. All the rest of them are nice triangles. We are going to get them off the pan because I need this pan to be my catcher for when they come out of the oil. Okay, we are lining the pan with paper towels. There we are. Get back over here. Check our temperature. It is now too hot, but that's fine because we're about to cool it off. Line our pan with paper towels, get the grating ready, and we will start by putting in 3. Let's see what they do. We'll put in 1, 2, 3. And they should not be in there very long. They curl and float quite quickly. Our temperature is looking good. Get them all flipped. That one split a little bit, so we do have a risk of splitting. But nothing seems to have fallen out of it. I like how the corners curled on me. And I like how they float because it means I can manipulate them here with the chopsticks very easily. Okay, I think we're in business. I think we're in business. They came together really quite well and quite quickly, and they're already crispy. I am a little worried about the interiors, so I'm not going to fry the next batch just yet. I want to open one of these guys up and give a tester to the inside before I commit. See what they look like on the inside. Just in case this is a disaster. Just in case this is a disaster. They are, of course, going to be blazing hot. I'm also hoping that they cooked the fish in that amount of time. That was real fast. It was actually a lot faster than I was expecting. So we're probably not even going to run over our time today, which is interesting. and unexpected. Okay, who wants to see what one of these critters looks like on the inside? Move stuff, move stuff, move stuff. I haven't even made the sauce. I didn't even make the sauce. I just started frying because the oil was hot. Let's get over here. Let's get over here. We're going to grab one of these guys. We're going to grab one of these guys and we're going to just split it clear in half and see what it looks like with a clean knife. It's crispy on the outside. The fish is cooked. It smells really good. Huh. Well, the fish is cooked and it didn't explode. So Well, we're gonna sally forth. Because the first one is a success. I could give you my tasting notes now. Because that first one is a success. And it's so fun the way they float. Can you hear the crunch? Oh, and they fry so fast, too. Okay. This has to be a thing. I cannot have made this up because this is way too easy and good for no one to have come up with this before me. Let's throw the weird one in. And some regular ones. I'm glad we didn't do them all like this because this guy is definitely too tall for our frying option here. They are attempting to unseal themselves a bit, but then they're hardening while they do that, so you end up with this sort of partially opened seal on each one that also isn't just flooding with oil. It's weird. The next batch, we're I think at the greatest risk of bursting. Get the weird one out of there. I gotta say, this is easy enough to the point where I would want to do this for people that I'm entertaining. This is a quality, like, hors d'oeuvre at a party. And you could probably fill these with just about anything. I might be more careful about pinching them shut. I don't think we're having major air bubble issues with the interiors of them, which was a concern. Yeah, they would be easy to make with just about anything. You make them with pork. You could make these probably with. Well, before I saw the discount fish in the bargain bin, I almost grabbed ground Wagyu, which is a waste of Wagyu, but it's because it was $5 a pound, which is just a tiny bit more expensive than the ground, generic ground beef. And that's because the ground Wagyu is made from scrap parts of the Wagyu cattle that can't be turned into expensive cuts, just like it is with the regular ground beef. But also people don't buy it because it's still a little bit more expensive, so it was on sale. I almost grabbed that. I thought that would be a really interesting use for this because it's a fattier type of beef. And getting a little bit of a fatty interior on these things, like you do with pork, is very nice. And this fish is a fattier fish, so I think we're doing the same thing. We have accomplished the same things. But yeah, you could do it with veggies. You could do it with mushrooms. You could probably do this with shellfish. They are so quick. The ad is coming up in 30 seconds. Flip. Yeah. This is easy and flexible. And I used a pretty traditional, like, Chinese dumpling flavor profile for the interior with garlic, ginger, soy sauce, scallions. We used a pretty traditional thing, but the flavor of the interior could be whatever you want. Imagine these with, like, birria, like a Mexican birria filling. That would be super good. We have to make that. That's going to be on my list. We have to make that. I'm impressed. I got to think about what kind of sauce I want for these, because they are very tasty on their own. I ate one, so I can already tell you that they're very tasty on their own. But we got to make some kind of a sauce. I was worried that today's project was either going to go way over time or way under time, and I think we have split the difference on it. Because it took longer to fold than I was expecting, but they are much faster to fry than I was expecting. Dang, they're good though. We have the ad rolling, and that is good because then I can finish these up. We can reconvene post-ad and work on our accompanying sauce, which I think a sweet, sour, spicy sauce is on point for these. Because we don't have any spicy element in them. They're not spicy on the inside. I also don't think these are going to hold very well because they have a crispy, deep friedness to them. But we'll see. Super impressed with how these wonton wrappers have fried. They get these fun little blisters on the surface. Welcome back from the ad. That is probably going to be the final ad break unless I take forever in this final act. Because I think we're probably going to wrap before the next one would play. How's our temperature? We have maintained our temperature pretty well too, which I usually struggle with when I'm doing deep frying. And I will attribute that to not overfilling, but also using the large pan here. Because we are now on the final 5. I'm going to put 5 of them in because I have 5 of them left. And that's it. That's all of them. And then give them all a little flippy flip. Okay, yeah. Well, this has been a fun adventure. It didn't take terribly long. They did, almost all of them, kind of open their seams just a little bit, and that's probably a result of me not squeezing the air out and it wanting to escape. And the seam being the best place for it to do that. They look so good, though. Look at these. That nice sort of brown. The dumpling skin blisters, and then the little blisters brown at a different rate from the surrounding dough. So you get this fun pattern on the surface. And they get nice and crispy. Turn the heat off. But yeah, I would definitely do this again. This was probably the easiest deep fry project I've yet tackled. I've had some real messy ones, and this one. This one has gone great. You can see some oil runs out when you pick them up, so I gotta make sure to sort of pick them up in the direction so that some of the oil can drain away. Which means finding the seam end and letting that. Otherwise, we will have a little bit too much oil in them. I'm sure several of them have more oil than they should. Yeah, and our temperature held for almost that entire time, which is fantastic. Let's let those cool off just a minute. I will make a sauce, a dipping sauce, in this cute little orange bowl. I think that a sweet slash sour slash spicy sauce is what we want here. Since I've got a lime already started, we're going to throw some lime in. As our sour and as a starter liquid to add other things too. Oh, the actual frying of these and the stuffing and frying of these was easy enough that I definitely want to revisit this with more experimental flavors because I don't have to worry about the process as much. Okay, half a lime's worth of lime juice. Sweet, spicy, sour. We have our sour. We need our spicy. Let's add our sweet. We're going to add a little bit of mirin. We're going to add a little bit of soy sauce too. Which is going to spoil our nice clear color, but well. Spicy. I love dry spices. I want wet spice. Going to put in a little bit of this blazing hot chile arbol oil. By a little bit, I mean like that much. I like this stuff, but it is hot to the point where it's hard to use. Oh, that's got spice to it. It needs a little bit more sugar. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to call it. That's all the spice it needs. It's giving us spicy, sour, salty, sweet. Okay. What kind of dish do I want to serve these on? Because we're already at the point of plating. Ooh, actually, here's a thing. Here's a toy. Not a toy. An ingredient I just picked up. Chinese black vinegar. This is a cheap one, not a nice one, but it has this really interesting flavor profile to it. Yeah. It's like, it's similar to like a balsamic, but it's different. It's different. It's one of those sort of strongly flavored vinegars, but it has a different profile than a balsamic. Probably because it's rice-based instead of wine-based. Or rice-based instead of grape-based. Plating options. Plating options. See, those are kind of brownish. We're going to go for the white square again. I reach for the white square a lot, but I like it. I've already realized that I have put the sauce in the wrong corner. Sauce should go in the corner here so I can kind of build around it, because these all have a natural curve to them. And they're leaving a little bit of grease on the plate, but they don't feel greasy on my finger. So I think we managed to not wildly over grease them. Which is good, because I'm always worried when I deep fry that I will lose control of it and my food will end up as just an oil sponge, because it's happened and it's disgusting. When you're deep frying, you run the risk of oiling, of soaking up the oil really badly. I have no idea if they will reheat well. This is too many for me to eat in one go, so we will find out. This is, like many of the things I make, the first time I've ever done this. So I have no idea. Seeing as they're deep fried and crispy, I imagine they will not reheat super well in terms of texture. Okay, and then it's presented like that with the sauce at the front. I did taste one earlier when I was testing them for internal doneness, and I'm going to now taste the weirdly shaped one with you guys so that the plate can be all nice and together. I will give them a go. Air frying them actually is a decent shout for getting them reheated. Fried food just doesn't re-crisp when you reheat it. It's just, if you've ever had like French fries, leftover French fries, and tried to heat them back up, they're never quite as good. And it's because the frying process drives moisture out of the food, and then that moisture gradually works its way back in. And unless you put them back into deep frying oil, there's no really good way to drive that moisture back out. the same way. I should split one of these open for the camera. Licking my fingers. Okay, that should be plenty of photos. Let's bring it back. I am not having a guest. This made more than... I mean, I had to use all that fish. That was use it or lose it today. So we didn't even use all of the wonton wrappers. Still got some. I'm going to have to wrap those up so they don't dry out. But since I will have leftovers, I will definitely go for experiments to see how we can try reheating them. There. I tasted one earlier, so I do know what they're going to taste like. But I didn't talk about it when I did so. That was a tester, just to see how well they fried. So let me give it another go. And this is our official tasting. Listen to that crunch. Mmm. Mmm. So the fish flavor is very mild. It's present, but it's very mild. What I'm getting is that slightly oily deep fried flavor, and then it's coming in from left field with the garlic, ginger, and scallion from the interior are coming in and saying, calm down, oily flavor. All these fresh aromatic spices, they come in, balance it out. Really, actually, very well. And the fish flavor just kind of hangs out. It's there. It's not like I can't taste it. And it's got the lovely crispy exterior, but it's also got a chewy dumpling wrapper to it, because the inside, I don't know if you can, I just dipped this one. It's not dripping. But it's got that sort of inner, it's not focusing, layer. Mmm. Mmm. And for something like this, first of all, I didn't put anything spicy in them. So having something spicy as a dip is a very good addition. So you can get bits of spice in there, but then you can also take breaks from it. But more importantly, the sauce is very acidic. It's got lime and vinegar in it, which for something like this, where it is an oily fried thing, as much as they didn't just sponge up the oil, they are still a bit oily. And having an acid in the dip really balances that out, really helps. If you're not aware, acids balance oils on your palate. So if something is too greasy, you balance it with some acid. That's why you get things like mustard, ketchup go on greasy meats like hot dogs and hamburgers, because they balance it out. Same thing with the pickle. The pickle is an important part of a burger for that same reason. In this case, this acidic sauce is an important balance to this sort of greasy thing, even though we have the ginger and the scallion and the garlic kind of coming in with these fresher flavors to balance it out. Pretty much everything on here, except for the deep fried wonton skins, exists to balance out the deep fry, which is great. This actually came out great. I want to make these for my friends. I'm gonna keep eating them for a while. They've got a wonderful crunch to them. Mm. And as you can see, they were only in there for a short time, but the fish, and this is why this might not work with something like beef or pork that takes a little bit longer to cook and requires a bit of a higher heat. The fish is delicate enough that it cooked in just the time it took to fry up the exteriors. Shrimp would do that too. Mushrooms, I'm sure, would also probably work. They might have to be in there a little bit longer if I did beef or pork raw, just to make sure that it cooked. But they are also rather small, so it might work regardless. Mm. Well, adding that little splash of black vinegar to this sauce was the right call. It really amped up the flavor. Mm. Okay. Well, oh, I saved this one. I didn't put it on the plate because it doesn't match the thing, but I was going to see how it worked out. The fish is cooked. Mm. Actually, the little ears on this are even crispier than the triangle points on the other ones. So that's a mark in the favor of this shape. But it was definitely too tall for frying them in that pan. I'd have to do an actual deep fry if I was going to use that shape. And these triangles went super well in that pan, so I think we're going to stick with the form factor here. Yeah, I would probably just par cook beef or pork if I was putting them in there. Shrimp, fish, both would cook very, very easily. Yeah, so that's the show. 5 minutes before our next ad comes up, which is good timing. So I will kick us off to somebody before that happens. Who is on right now? Who is on right now? Let's go see LaFay. We're gonna go see LaFay. I haven't read LaFay in a hot minute. Yeah, that was great. I might revisit those as a thing here in the future with more creative flavors, but I definitely want to revisit those with my friends as like a party food, because those were surprisingly easy. Surprisingly easy. I thought that the combination of dumplings and deep frying would make this a complicated thing, but the two parts here worked out great. Oh, I'm going to raid you off now because someone is at my door. So, see you next time.
Like this, I had it.